Georg Simmel's Individual and Society. Georg Simmel, one of the founding figures of sociology, focused on the complex relationship between the individual and society. He believed that society does not exist outside of individuals but is created and recreated every moment through human interactions. At the same time, these interactions shape how individuals think, behave, and understand themselves. According to Simmel, individuals and society depend on one another in a continuous process of influence and change. This dynamic interaction between the two is what makes social life possible and meaningful. Simmel argued that society is not a structure or an object but a process. It is formed through countless interactions, what he called social forms. These forms include cooperation, competition, conflict, exchange, and imitation. Each form represents a pattern of human connection that can be seen across all areas of life, from families to workplaces to politics. By participating in these forms, individuals help construct society, and through the same forms, society influences their thoughts and actions. Simmel's main idea was that society is not something above or outside individuals but something that exists between them in every act of interaction. One of Simmel's most important ideas was about the tension between individuality and social belonging. He saw that as societies become more modern and complex, people gain more freedom to express themselves as individuals. However, this freedom also comes with isolation. In traditional communities, people shared close bonds and similar values, and their identities were shaped by family, religion, and local traditions. In modern cities, individuals have more choices in how to live and who to be, but this freedom often brings loneliness and competition. People strive to be unique yet still desire connection. This struggle between personal independence and social belonging lies at the heart of Simmel's sociology. Simmel often used the city as an example of modern social life. In the urban environment, people are surrounded by crowds, advertisements, and constant movement. To survive emotionally, they develop what he called a blasé attitude, a kind of emotional distance that protects them from being overwhelmed. This attitude makes people more rational and less emotional. They learn to value time, money, and efficiency. But this also means that their relationships can become more superficial. Despite this, Simmel believed that city life encourages individuality and creativity because it exposes people to diversity and forces them to make their own choices about how to live. Another key idea in Simmel's theory is the dual nature of social life. He believed that every social relationship contains opposing forces such as closeness and distance, harmony and conflict, freedom and constraint. Conflict, for example, is not only destructive but also a way to create new forms of unity. Differences push people to define themselves and their values, while cooperation brings them together to achieve common goals. For Simmel, society could not exist without these tensions because they keep human relationships alive and evolving. Simmel was also interested in how economic and cultural changes affect individuality. He observed that as economies became more centered on money, social relationships began to change. Money made exchange easier and gave individuals more freedom, but it also turned relationships into impersonal transactions. People began to measure worth not by emotions or moral values but by financial ones. This change, Simmel argued, made life more rational but also more distant. However, he believed that culture, art, and creativity could help restore meaning to human life by connecting people beyond economic interests. Fashion was another area Simmel studied to explain the link between individuals and society. He saw fashion as a perfect example of how people express individuality while still belonging to a group. When people follow a trend, they feel connected to others, but as that trend spreads, they look for something new to stand out again. This constant movement between imitation and differentiation keeps fashion alive and reflects the same dynamic found in all social life. People want to be part of society but also want to be seen as unique individuals. Simmel also described how modern specialization affects individuality. In earlier societies, people performed many roles: farmer, builder, parent, neighbor. In modern industrial societies, work becomes divided into narrow tasks. This increases productivity but limits personal experience. A worker might become skilled in one area but disconnected from the larger meaning of their work. Simmel thought that modern people must find ways to express their individuality despite such constraints, often through art, personal relationships, or intellectual pursuits. He believed that the individual's challenge in modern society is to maintain a sense of self while being surrounded by large systems, economic, political, and social, that demand conformity. Simmel admired individuals who could balance both, contributing to society while staying true to their inner identity. He saw this balance as essential for a healthy and meaningful life. The core of Simmel's thought is that the relationship between the individual and society is never static. It is full of contradictions, but these contradictions are what make human life vibrant. Society needs individuality for creativity and change, while individuals need society for connection and meaning. Neither can exist without the other. Simmel's approach reminds us that human life is built through constant negotiation between personal desires and social expectations. In today's world, Simmel's ideas are more relevant than ever. Modern technology connects people across the globe while also creating feelings of isolation. Social media allows for self-expression but also pressures people to conform to trends. Economic systems promise freedom but often create dependency. Simmel's insights help us understand these contradictions and remind us that true individuality does not mean escaping society but finding ways to express ourselves meaningfully within it. Simmel's philosophy teaches that we are both the creators and the products of society. Every friendship, conversation, and exchange contributes to shaping the world we live in. By being aware of how our interactions form patterns that influence others, we can live more consciously and build relationships that are authentic and balanced. His work encourages us to see society not as a cage but as a canvas where individuals paint their identities while connecting to the broader human picture. Understanding Simmel helps us appreciate that individuality and social belonging are not enemies but partners in the ongoing dance of human existence. It is through our relationships that we become who we are, and through our unique identities that society finds its diversity and strength. If you found this explanation of Georg Simmel's ideas about the individual and society insightful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more discussions on sociology and social thought.